Kalman mentioned that I'm working in the World Bank, and our institution has been mentioned here several times today, so I'm not going to talk about the role of the bank with the decade and with the Roma Education Fund, or about the projects that, the loans that we've been extending to some countries for social inclusion measures, and some even with specific Roma components. What I would like to mention, though, is some of our activities over the last 2-3 years that I think are particularly relevant for the strategies and the development of the strategies, and for overcoming one of the barriers, as Livia Jaroka said, that there are many barriers in accessing funds, many barriers for Roma to become mainstream parts of the societies and reaping the same benefits as everybody else. So the barrier that I would like to talk about here now is the barrier of lack of knowledge that's based on the lack of data about Roma. This has been the one very important element of excuse of the lack of political will to do something, as we all know. That the government say, well, we don't know how many Roma we have, how they live, where they live, etc. Therefore, we cannot have targeted policies. That's been the short story. And the result of that is that in many of the countries in the EU, where there are large Roma populations, as well as in countries in the Western Balkans, a lot of policy making has been taking place based on mythology and perceptions and prejudices. And as Kinga Göncz mentioned, that there are openly discriminatory policies, but there are also very policies that look very non-discriminatory on their face and really have discriminatory results. Now, they're not going to be data and knowledge overnight, but I think that we have some good news. You asked us to give us good news on this panel, so the good news that I think that I can share is based on several elements. One is we started in 2010 and are going to be expanding it now to a 5th country. We started with analysis, a study on the costs of exclusion, or as we politically correctly call it, benefits of non-inclusion, where we calculate really what is the cost to the society of having Roma excluded. First, we did it in Serbia, Czech Republic, Bulgaria, Romania. Now, having an engagement with the now fallen Slovak government, we are going to do it also for Slovakia. And we are complementing this and are actively discussing with the Commission also the in the future doing the poverty maps. Somebody talked about the need for crisis maps. We sort of prefer to call it poverty maps, not to because to stick to our own expertise, to really allow both the Commission on the one hand and on the other hand the policymakers to be able to see where one needs to target resources, where one needs to act, because the situation is difficult. So we are have engagement again in Slovakia, but they're also going to pilot it in Bulgaria, and we'll see how that will take. But apart from studies and research and analysis like this, the one very important initiative that has taken place, and I see my friends from UNDP with whom we are partners in this exercise, and I think it's particularly important to mention it in the European Parliament, since this came out of a pilot project that the European Parliament sponsored, a number of parties across the political spectrum, with the DG Regio being the responsible one, is a pilot project on early childhood education, microcredit, broader financial inclusion, that we expanded into doing really the biggest household survey ever of marginalized communities in 12 countries inside Europe and in Western Balkans. And the results are going to be coming out before Christmas, and where we are finally going to be at in a situation where we can really move from we really move from mythology to facts and to action, also in the framework of the European strategies. So I am finally, after several years, rather optimistic, cautiously optimistic that the situation has changed. We now have committed bureaucratic process, not only politicians, but committed bureaucratic process in the Commission. We have politicians that are going to be put on the spot through data and facts that they are not going to be able to hide from. We have lots of activism and NGO support from the bottom up. So I think we now, in the next month, will have a chance to really start making a real difference in Roma's lives.